Hello, everyone. I am Jude, as you are well aware of from the Coaching Collective, one of the coaches here. And today I'm going to run you through pretty much my journey, how I got to where I am today, to becoming an online coach, how I got sort of into this industry, competing, bodybuilding, just the gym in general. But I'm going to run through pretty much everything from when I was a lot younger. I've always been a sporty kind of guy, and always sort of been involved in some sort of team sport or some kind of activity movement ever since I was a kid, even though I wasn't in the shape to sort of be in this sort of industry from as a kid. Like people always, tend to ask me, like, you've got great genetics, blah, 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 blah. But like, if you see what I sort of looked like when I was younger, I looked obviously nothing as I do now, and I wasn't the most sporty looking person, I would say, but I was always involved with it, always loved it, and I still am. Like, I'm so into all types of sports still, massive footy fan, soccer fan. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So, as a kid, the first sport I ever actually played essentially was tennis. From what I'm aware of and what I remember, I was way, way younger. Apart from like swimming and all of that, that I didn't really do that as a sport. It was more of something just to try out, have some fun. But tennis was the first thing I ever signed up for. So I was doing that for not too long, couple months maybe, doing lessons. Never actually did a proper game. I was doing like practice games, but like never got into like competitive. But it was great fun. I loved it. It was, it was hard. It was not easy. So everyone that plays tennis, even the guys at top level, like huge respect to those people because tennis is not an easy sport. But yeah, playing tennis, running around, doing constant lessons, and it was good fun. I kept doing it sort of just as for fun after that with like family, friends, just go down to like the local tennis court and have a hit. But yeah, that was pretty much where I started with sport. And then I ended up getting into some running. Okay. So very, very interesting because if I tried to run now, I would probably collapse. But I was doing cross country, and that was with my school. So that was what I was doing. I was way younger still, like probably the start of maybe, yes, seven, and that was really fun. I was actually pretty good at it, surprisingly. But in terms of team sports, so these are like obviously singular sports, you do it on your own, tennis, running. But in terms of team sports, I was started off when I was in when I was in prep, actually. Auskick was where I started with footy. So that was the first like team sport I ever played. And that was, yeah, in prep. So I was what, 7 years old, I think that was, or 6 or 7 years old, prep, I think is. And that's where I started. And I played Auskick all the way until the end of primary school, until Auskick actually finishes. So that was, prep to grade six. So that was 6 solid years, and that was so much fun. With that, I ended up playing, like, the Auskick kids go on the footy field in the AFL. So like I played halftime on Anzac Day, and I did halftime at Carlton versus Essendon, I think. Pretty sure it was Carlton Essendon halftime, and I did the Anzac Day, which is Collingwood Essendon. Anzac Day was the best one by far. I mean, both crowds were awesome. I think the Carlton Essendon game had like 90,000. The Anzac Day was like 92,000 or something. Incredible, like such an experience. And from there, and that day, I was always like, I'm going to be an AFL player. I need to play on this field. I need to walk out, play footy. And that was always my dream. Never went through with, obviously. Never really got past Auskick in terms of football with teams. I did training with Fitzroy, but that was like sort of through Auskick. Never actually played any full games at that level. But yeah, I will say, and I'll back myself to this, I was good at footy. I know everyone says it, but like I was genuinely good at football. But yeah, I was always into sports and footy. I'm a massive footy fan, North Melbourne supporter. Bit of a hard one, but we get in there. But yeah, played footy, Auskick. And then I think in the last year of Auskick, which was grade six, I actually did two sports. So I was doing Auskick, which was on the weekends, and I was actually playing for a soccer team. And my first team ever was Yarra Jets, and that was when I was, yeah, end of grade six or started grade six. In that last year, at some point, played for Yarra Jets. That was my first team with soccer. And that's when I sort of started transitioning into that. So Auskick finished when I was in grade six. And then from there, you either decide if you're going to go play for a club. But I actually stopped playing footy at that point and just stuck with soccer from there. Played for Yarra Jets for 3 years. And then I also from there played futsal, which was indoors, which every weekend. So soccer was like training twice a week, game on the weekend, futsal once a week. So that was 4 times a week. And I fell in love with soccer, like fell in love with it. Started off as a striker, surprisingly. I was actually pretty quick. Back then, I was a lot smaller than what I am now, and that was so much fun. Playing for a club. playing, at a pretty good level for my age, actually. From there, I moved into a different club, which was, I think, Darebin United. I did a few trials at some other big clubs, got into one, didn't go through with it, didn't make the cut for quite a few others, just didn't get selected. So ended up moving to Darebin United, played there for another 2 years. And that was again great fun. Won a few trophies there as a team, which was really, really good. From there, I moved to Clifton Hill, where I played there for 4 years. And these were my really good years with soccer, where I genuinely thought I was going to get somewhere in the sport. The first year was pretty slow. I was still pretty young. Ended up moving into the midfield, which I played there for 2 years. And then once I realized I was actually best as as a defender, as a centre back, I played there for a year. And then my fourth year, which I ended up playing, I was a year below which what I should have been with my team, but I was playing for the reserves at the time, training with the seniors. I know I sound like one of those guys that's like, oh, I played top level soccer, but I didn't play top level. But I was training with seniors, playing with reserves at the time when I was 16 and 17 years old. And I was playing more as like a defensive midfielder. That was my good role because I wasn't as fast as the other guys, but I was solid for my age. So that year is when I first started training, sort of in the gym just a little bit. I always had solid legs and I was always a solid build, not just all muscle, but just solid. So playing that defensive midfielder role, I was always, able to, be strong on the ball. One of my best attributes was my passing, so I could still utilize that through the midfield, but I was good as a defender. I actually did some years as a goalkeeper when I was younger too. So I played in every position, but that defensive midfield role was where I was at. And that's where I thought like, okay, I'm going to be like a world-class defensive midfielder as a soccer player. So went through with Clifton Hill for that last year. And in that year, again, I'm going to sound like one of those dudes, but I pretty much tore my ankle in half, ruptured every single ligament through my ankle, and that put me out for 7 months or something. In that time, I was on crutches for like, I think 6, 7 weeks, moon boot for like another 8 weeks or something. It was pretty bad. And in that time, I just went straight to the gym. I was just training flat out. I had nothing else to do. I couldn't do any leg movements. I couldn't play any sports and it killed me. So I decided to get a gym membership it was Jets in Northcote. And that's where I started training a little bit more so. So when I was in the gym, when I was with Clifton Hill in that last year, that was at, sorry, I take that back actually. I signed up at a different gym. I think it was a Fitness First, but I barely went. I was just training a little bit here and there. And then when I got injured, I moved to Jets because I was a little bit more prestige. And then that's when I started training properly. So this was still in that last year. It was all upper body, training like an absolute gym bro, chest days of like 100 sets, bicep days, tricep days. I'd go in the morning and train biceps. I'd go at night, train delts and biceps again. I was just training like an absolute goose. But it was so much fun. I had no idea about nutrition, so I was just eating whatever. I thought always eat big to get big. I would go to a cafe down the road from the gym. It was like a Greek cafe. I would get like tons of meat, tons of pita, chips, smash that down, go to the gym, train, come back there, meet some mates, get something else to eat. I'd eat like a whole what do they call it? It's like a Nutella calzone. It's like the pizza folded with Nutella in there and condensed milk, strawberries. I thought I was going to eat everything in sight. Ended up getting a little bit chubby, but I did put on some good muscle in that time, which was surprising. Those newbie gains were coming through well. I was eating plenty of food. And I started dialing into a little bit more the next year. And then my injury started to recover and I went back to soccer for one last year. And then it just turned to shit. The team sort of started going downhill. I ended up doing a preseason. We started the season off with a couple of games. My ankle was still playing up a little bit. And then I just thought like, I don't know, just wasn't enjoying it. I think it was just the team I was playing with at the time when I came back. It wasn't all the same boys. So I wasn't really enjoying it as much. So I pulled the pin and I said, I'm not doing it, and just stuck to the gym. So from there, trained for many years, just like a gym bro, I suppose, and, gave it everything, just trained like a freak, had no structure, no nutrition. Ended up reaching out to a coach at the time who you're probably all aware of, which is Zach Perner. He was my first kind of real coach essentially, but it wasn't like one-on-one. It was more so on the app that he had, but I guess it was tailored, updated monthly. So I got results. I mean, I spoke about this on the last podcast, or one of the last podcasts I did with, I think it was with Anthony on this one. But because you're like new to everything, like I said, newbie gains, it was like a beginner structured with actually good nutritious food plus structured training. I was actually seeing results, nothing like now, but like coming from where I was at, it worked. I was getting bigger, wasn't training hard, training like an idiot. But yeah, I was sticking to my meals, and something I've always said is from the day one when I started my first meal plan, which is all the way back then, which was what, 7 or 8 years ago, nutrition wise, I've always been on point. I remember I'd get home from being at like a party or something when I was younger, when I was with Zach Burner, and I'd have a meal which I hadn't eaten yet. It'd be like 3 in the morning. I'd cook up a steak outside. I'd still eat it, go to bed. So I've never missed on nutrition, but something I always missed on was how to train properly and how to train hard. That's why I wasn't really seeing the results I ever wanted to. So nutrition wise, I've never been bad, and it's sort of created habits where now for me, it's so easy to stick to plan because I've been doing it for so long, and something's always been embedded into my brain. So it's like I go to an event and there's cakes and stuff. I mean, if I want them, I'll have them, but I'd never get that urge anymore. And it's not because I don't want it or I'm scared to eat it. Like, trust me, if I want something, I can eat. But it's like those things that are in my head from when I was younger. It's like I need to stick to plan, need to stick to plan. So now it's like I don't really crave anything. But there's times I crave food when I'm dieting, of course. But I'm really good with sticking to my meals just because of the way I used to act when I was younger. Stuck with that for a while. Went with a few other different coaches who I'm not gonna name. Had some great experiences, had some really bad experiences, but it was all a learning process, which actually taught me how to be a coach that I am today. I learned a lot from Michael too. So the last coach I ended up going with after being with after Zach Perner, there was 3 other coaches, which sounds like I'm a coach hopper, but I was just, trying to find the person for me, and I just hadn't found that yet until I came across Michael through a mate of mine at the gym. So ended up moving to Doherty's after I was training at Jets. Was there for maybe 2, 3 years, moved to Iron Kingdom. I was there for 2 years. Then I did like a couple months at one gym, and then back at Iron Kingdom, and then back at Doherty's now for the last couple of years. But from there, I had a mate at Iron Kingdom who was with Michael, and he looked great, and he recommended Michael. He said it was fantastic. So I approached him and I said to Michael, I said, look, I want to start with you. Can you get me on board? I want to compete one day. I was never in that actual spot to compete. I just said I want to do it one day. I understand it's going to take some time to get there. I love bodybuilding. I've been training. I've got no direction. Jumped on with him, and a year and a half later, or maybe it was 2 years later, I did my first show. I was still not in the best position to do it, but I said to him, I'm doing this date. We need to get as big as we can and then as lean as we can in the time frame that we have. I said, put me on stage. I just want to see what it's like. I want to see if I enjoy it because I love watching it. I love being in the gym. I love dieting. I love it all. I just want to see if I love competing. So he's like, okay, well, you're in the position where the timeline's not that large. You're going to put on body. You're too small. We need to get you a little bit bigger. You're going to put on some body fat, which means we're going to have to dig hard in the prep. We're going to suffer, but if you're going to enjoy it, it's going to be hard, and you'll learn if you like it or not, because it's going to be a hard one. And I'm up for it. Let's do it. And it was hard, but I loved every single part of it. Something I didn't expect, I wasn't used to, but it was so good, so much fun. And then yeah, been with Michael now for maybe 4 years, I would say, roughly around there, maybe less actually. I don't even know. I just don't even count anymore. But maybe 3.5 years, I would say I've been with Michael, give or take. Don't quote me on that one. But yeah, haven't switched from him since, and I don't think I ever will. Honestly, I actually never will. I mean, can't speak for the future, but I've not had one bad experience with him. We get along so well, and it's like I just want to keep competing with him and just see where he can take me in the sport. So definitely locked in. He's got me as a long-term client, and that's for sure. And that's because I trust him and I love working with him. So for example, with past coaches, they weren't bad. Don't get me wrong. I've had, like I said, great experiences and bad experiences, but I jumped around because I wanted to find the person who was right for me, and I found him, and he literally taught me everything I wanted to know. And then he's also taught me how to become the coach that I am today. So anyone that actually works with Michael, you can essentially picture how I would coach, because his approach is the approach that I take in terms of actually, responding to clients, being there for people, being responsive, how he works, just everything. So he's taught me everything I know today. And then I was never worked in this industry until I actually said to him, I want to come on board. I've coached some mates in the past for free and sort of done some PT stuff, but like, I want to learn how to become a coach. I love what you do. I feel like I would be great at it. It's what I know best. And it'll feel like I don't even work because it's what I love doing. And he's like, I'm like, teach me. And I said, I want to do it on my own. And he said, well, prove to me you can be a good coach and I will get you on board and you can work for us on this team. And I'm like, give everything to me and I will fucking prove to you that I can do it. Mind my language. Yeah, I was coaching people for free. He saw what I can do. He taught me a lot of stuff along the way. And then he's like, let's just do it. You're ready. So threw me in the deep end. And then that brought me pretty much to where I am today, coaching bodybuilding, and I would never have it any other way because I'm in an industry that I love. I love working with people. I love doing this myself as well. So learning experiences along the way, doing what I love and what I enjoy. And that's essentially brought me to where I'm sitting in this seat today, doing the job I love, being able to compete in the sport that I love, and being within the industry. And it's absolutely fantastic. So that's a little short story of how I started. As you can see, I've always been a sporty person, and I always will be a sporty person. Although I don't play soccer anymore or football, I will, watch it all the time. Every game I will watch of AFL, okay, and not just my own team. I'll analyze every team. I'm a huge AFL supporter. Same with soccer as well. Whenever the Premier League's on in England, huge Man United supporter, I'll get up and watch it. That sort of slowed down in prep though, when I probably needed to utilize sleep. I've sort of kept those sleeping habits now, so like I won't get up at 2 a.m. to watch a game. But if they're on at 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'll watch them. I watch every extended highlights because I'm just a massive fan. So always been sporty, always will be. But yeah, that's literally it. So not the craziest journey, but always doing something physical. And I feel like my body loves it. It's just, I feel healthy. I feel great. And I literally, to anyone that doesn't, exercise as well, I would highly recommend, just doesn't have to be in the gym, but walking, going for a run, going for a jog, hike, whatever it is, getting out there, getting active, getting in the sun, working up a bit of a sweat and exercising. It just makes you feel so good. And I don't think I'd ever be able to change that habit of mine. So that is it. I hope you've all enjoyed this little journey of mine. Short, sharp, sweet. Yeah, stay tuned. Plenty more videos coming. And I will see you guys in the next one. See you later.